The views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views of ECTV News, the City of East Chicago, nor this broadcast station or website. ECTV airs public meetings as a service to the community it serves. Speakers at public meetings, broadcast, or posted by ECTV News are solely responsible for their comments. ECTV News reserves the right to edit or remove any profanity or abusive language or behavior deemed inappropriate for our viewing audience. If you have any comments or suggestions about this program, contact ECTV News at 219-391-8206.
Call to order the regular scheduled council meeting for Monday, August 28th, 2017. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Santos, roll call.
Maldonado.
Present.
Walker.
Present.
Vasquez.
Present.
Garcia.
Present.
Orange.
Present.
Perez.
Present.
Medina.
Here.
Monroe.
Present.
Franciski.
Present. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes for the regular scheduled meeting for Monday, August 14th, 2017?
So moved, Mr. President. Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilman Monroe, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Do I have any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Do we have any communications from the mayor?
No, Mr. President.
Any communications from department heads?
Yes. Accounts payable warrant 080917CC.
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Monroe, to accept accounts payable warrant 080917CC. Have any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Accounts payable warrant 082817CC.
So moved, Mr. President. Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Vasquez, seconded by Councilwoman Walker, to accept accounts payable warrant 082817CC. Any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Accounts payable warrant 082817LA.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second. Motion was made by Councilwoman Walker, seconded by Councilman Monroe, to accept accounts payable warrant 082817LA. Any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Payroll warrant biweekly 081117.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Perez, to accept payroll warrant biweekly 081117. Any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Payroll warrant miscellaneous 081817.
So moved, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Perez, to accept payroll warrant miscellaneous 081817. Have any questions on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Do we have any committee reports? Councilwoman Orange?
We have finished with the Finance Committee budget with all the department heads. So Steve will be preparing information for the council, and also we will be preparing a letter to the mayor of some suggestions from the council. If you have anything pertaining to the budget or the departments that you would like for Steve to add into that letter to the mayor, it's like we've done this the last 3 years. Some suggestions he's taken, some he has not. And so if you have any suggestions, just forward it to Steve and he can put it into the letter. But so far, we are finished with this. We have not gotten the official budget from the mayor's office yet. I did tell Steve today to contact Bennett and find out where he's at with that. And so that's it. I gave you all the information. I made copies for everybody that we were given during the hearings. Or not the hearings, but the committee meeting. So and that's all we have. And like I said, when Steve gets finished with the report, and he will break it down from last year to this year of how it all, panned out. And so that's it for my committee.
Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, Mr. President, I would just like to add if we could have an executive meeting so we could discuss that bit of budget. I think it'd be beneficial to all of us if we have any input into it. I think it'd be good.
As soon as he receives it, the official ones, the only thing we've had so far is the Form 1s and input from the department heads, but as soon as he receives that, Steve Bauer can do that.
Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Moving on to board reports.
I just have one other thing to add in our budget. I did have Steve add into our budget amount for possible laptops. That's something that the council can decide at the day whether they would like to have them or not, but we discussed it, and I discussed it with the city clerk of having the laptops because, as you can see from the paperwork we get every time, and a lot of times, sometimes you can pick it up, sometimes you can't, and it would be beneficial. I know they do it at the school city also for to have everything on that laptop. That laptop will belong to the city if and when, if you retired from here or decide not to run or you wanted to buy it or something like that. But that's something that we could discuss, and if it's something that we can wipe out of our budget if the whole council doesn't agree on it.
Thank you. Moving on to board reports. Do we have any board reports? Clerk Santos, do we have any ordinances on first reading?
Yes, ordinance 17-0020, sponsor Councilman Lenny Franciski, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago authorizing the transfer of appropriations within and between various city departments, city clerk's office.
So moved in first and second reading, Mr. President.
Second. Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe to hear ordinance 17-0021 on second reading. Councilman Garcia.
Yes, I'd like to hear from the clerk, please.
Good evening, council members. Adrian Santos, East Chicago City Clerk. As you see in your packets, We're asking for this transfer to come out of the 400 series and move it into the 300 series, and I put pictures inside, and I wrote a letter, and it's basically, we have a workroom, and when I took over the office, it was, a couple of years of boxes that we needed to get microfilmed and digitally filmed, and that's what we're trying to do now. As you see the pictures, when we first started, it was very overwhelming, but we had to put them together alphabetically, prepare the boxes so that we can ship them out to this company that's actually going to microfilm them and give it to us on a digital form. And this is the first phase, because there's probably going to be more. So we're just asking to transfer that money into there because we have it in machinery and equipments, and we need to put it in other services and charges to pay for this first batch that has already went out to the company. And as you see in one of those pictures on the bottom, you see under the table, all that row, those are already prepared. And we have a bunch of shelves that I need to start just finally starting to move on digital. And then hopefully in the near future, we're going to purchase an actual machine where we can actually do it and we don't have to outsource it anymore. But there's just way too much right now for even if I purchased the machine for my staff to handle it.
Is that mandated by the state?
Yes. Well, the state mandates you to have it on backed up. So this is going to have it. It's going to give us on digital form, and then we can get like a zip drive, so we'll have it. But yes, these are records that, in order for me to destroy, I have to be able to show the state that I have some type of copy of it. And so long as we have it either digitally or some kind of, then we can start to destroy it after so many years. A zip drive or digital form or a CD. So I'm thinking about putting them in two different places in case there's a fire, God forbid. But at least we have these records somewhere so that if somebody looks at it, it makes it easier on my staff. If you come in and you want to know about a case in 95, right now, and you say, it was Santos versus the state of Indiana, and they look it up, they have to go to the box. And they have to go back to 95 and sit there and go through these boxes and try to find that case. Now you can just, if you have the case number, you can type it up and it'll pop up right on their system. And then we can just print it and we can give it to whoever's asking for it. So we're trying to move into digital. A lot of the stuff we had is just in boxes. It's all paperwork. And I'm trying to make it easier so that I don't have a staff member sitting in a room half the day going through these boxes trying to find something.
Any other questions for Clerk Santos?
And you're more than welcome to, if you want to see the room where we're at. I know I gave you pictures. If you want to see them, you're more than welcome to come because there's still a lot more to be done.
Thank you.
And I'm asking that you suspend the rules. I'm asking that you suspend the rules because the first batch has went out and we're getting ready for a second one.
You done, Clerk Santos?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call to adopt ordinance 17-0021.
It'd be Clerk Santos, not Clerk Search.
Clerk Santos, roll call to adopt ordinance 17-0021 on second reading.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange. Orange.
Yes.
Perez. Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules, Mr. President.
Second. Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Medina to suspend the rules and hear ordinance 17-0021 on third reading. Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
Motion to hear on third and final reading, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Orange to hear ordinance 17-0021 on third and final reading. 2-0, I'm sorry. Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes.
ordinance 17-0021, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriation ordinance appropriating sanitary district funds in order to purchase 3 garbage cans, 5 pickup trucks, 1 9-1 Bobcat recycling toters, and rear loader container and office equipment.
So moved on first and second reading.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Garcia, to hear ordinance 17-0021 on second reading. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
I think the department's here to talk about it.
Good evening. Keith Selvey, Public Works Director.
Can you tell us about your proposal?
Yes, our fleet is pretty beat up. Just some corrections to the actual clerk. It's 3 garbage trucks and 1 Bobcat and 1 recycling toter. We're looking to actually replace some of our 4-door trucks in the actual fleet. A lot of them have over 90,000 miles, as well as we're looking to do some upgrades with some of the toters issues that we're having as well. Inside the parks, there are quite a few garbage cans. To bring those garbage cans out, we're looking to have this actual equipment that we can actually drive along the actual bike paths to actually pick those toters up. It'll make it a lot easier on our people, as well as a lot quicker. We won't have to have as many people actually in the parks as well.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, are you going to put in place a maintenance program, like a walk-around sheet? Anytime a driver gets in that truck, he does a walk-around, checks the oil, makes sure any dents or whatever, and reports it? Because I know in the past, our vehicles are pretty badly beat up. I know there's no walk-around done and stuff like that, but I think the money that we spend on this equipment, that we need to better take care of them.
Yes,
Walk-around sheets is a perfect way for accountability.
I have actually implemented a walk-around sheet that is actually given to the drivers. They do a quick walk-around. It has about 15 points on it, checking from hazards, tail lights, horn, anything dripping beneath the vehicle itself. That is actually in place as we speak.
That's great, thank you.
Councilman Medina?
Mr. Sullivan, you have itemized here a ice maker
That is correct.
for $3,500?
That's correct.
That's a lot of ice. Could you explain what we use that for?
Well, we use our ice machine in the summer quite frequently, as well as we supply it to some of the other departments. It's the ice maker that it's approximately about 15 years old. It's hard to find replacement parts for it, as well as it's time for an upgrade. We've had it fixed twice since I've been there, and I've only been there a couple months.
You don't happen to know what vendor you're going to use for that, do you?
I don't have it here in front of me, but we have gotten quotes from 2 vendors. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's coming from Leaps.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. I also asked that the rules be suspended on this as well.
Can you explain why?
We're in dire needs of toters. We've had a rash of actual bad toters where we weren't able to repair them as quickly as we would like. We're down to about 60 toters as we speak at this very moment. Because of our special events, we're usually putting 10, 20, sometimes 50 toters out at different locations, and for some reason they're being damaged. And at which point in time, it's a 5-week lead time to actually purchase those particular ones with the city seal on them and so forth.
Any other questions for him? Thank you. Clerk Santos, roll call to adopt ordinance 17-0021 on second reading.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Mr. President, motion to suspend the rules to hear it on third and final reading.
Second.
Attorney Bauer?
Attorney Stephen Bauer for the council. Really cannot do that tonight. We've got a public hearing scheduled for September 11th, and it cannot be passed on final reading until you've had your public hearing on the additional appropriation.
Councilwoman Vasquez, you rescind your motion?
I rescind my motion.
Clerk Santos, next ordinance, please.
Ordinance 17-0022, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriation ordinance appropriating funds for emergency repair to protect the city's 54-inch water intake pipe adjacent to the marina's break wall.
Moved on first and second reading.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilman Monroe to hear ordinance 17-0022 on second reading. Do you have any discussion on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, Mr. President, anybody here to talk about this ordinance, Mayor's office? I guess not, Mr. President. I think we're going down that same road again. Here, we got an ordinance for $1.5 million, and there's nobody here to talk about it, and I got plenty of questions for it. And we asked the mayor's office to please send somebody out anytime he has an ordinance come before this council. And there's no reason for somebody to come before this council if they want $1.5 million. And there's no way I'm going to support this without somebody being in front of us to answer the questions, and I hope the rest of the council, please don't pass this.
Councilman Medina?
Echoing Councilman Garcia, I wish to motion to table this at this time.
Second, Mr. President.
There's a motion on the floor to table ordinance 17-0022 by Councilman Medina, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Any discussion on the motion? Clerk Santos, roll call.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Perez,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Clerk Santos, any other ordinances on first reading?
No, Mr. President.
Any ordinances on second reading?
No, Mr. President.
Any ordinances on third reading?
No, Mr. President.
Do we have any resolutions?
No, Mr. President.
Moving on to old business, do we have any old business? Councilman Garcia.
You know, we had an executive board meeting last week, and I just want to follow up what's going to be done after that meeting.
I think I'm gonna put another one together this week. I kind of, be honest with you, dropped the ball on it. We were supposed to meet today. I forgot to talk to the clerk's office to put it in the paper, so I will get something for Thursday
I just got
to reschedule.
I got a question for Steve. Maybe Mr. Barrow also.
Councilman.
If we negotiate with public safety, what needs to be done?
If you as a council want to negotiate on public safety contracts yourselves, I will let Mr. Bauer speak to the legal side of that, but my impression would be that the council has the ability to do so and the authority to do so according to the statute that was suggested by Councilman Perez.
On the budgetary means, what would we need to do?
It would be my recommendation that the 2018 salary ordinance be sponsored by this body, and you insert in that salary ordinance the items that you desire as you've negotiated with the two public safety agencies.
How about the one we just passed last month in reference to police?
It is my understanding that the pensions which I think are part of the item that are in question, have already been certified for this year. So I'm not sure that making any change to the 2017 salary ordinance that you've amended once already would have much effect on the pensions. I think those were already certified in January.
How about the supervisor that's excluded from that?
You could revise that. You could, at any point in time, you could revise the ordinance that you've already amended once, if you felt like there was an error or some type of inequity.
Any other questions? Councilman Perez?
Yeah, speaking to the ordinance that we passed, the longevity pay was wiped out for the police officers on that ordinance, which I certainly, that got past me up here. I'd actually like to make a motion that we reinstate the longevity pay immediately and have this council vote on that and make that amendment to that ordinance so that it would take effect immediately. And I make that motion that we reinstate longevity for the police officers.
Seconded, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilman Perez, seconded by Councilman Garcia, to add longevity to the police. Councilwoman Vasquez?
Since we don't have the ordinance in front of us, can somebody explain to us exactly what amount we're talking about? Or I don't remember what it was.
I didn't have it. The one that you just amended, you have it, Steve?
What I would encourage you to look at is that although the longevity was pulled out on the one that was tendered to you and that you passed, there was a job performance bonus discussed and added in there, and I do not know what the thinking was or the reason for that particular change. And that would be something I would encourage you to look into.
Councilman Perez?
I don't believe that performance pay was added. That performance pay was in the old ordinance. I think it was just struck out and made part of the MPO's pay. And what they managed to do with longevity is that everybody above the pay of MPO now, in essence, the way I understand it, and when I went back to look at it, because I argued with the police officers and told them that they were not excluded, they are in effect excluded, which would amounted to a pay cut, and it's only $1,200 for your answer, how much it is per police officer that was hired after 2010 and had whatever amount of years. Longevity, they froze it in 2010. So I just suggest that we go back to where it was until we fix whatever we're going to fix for 2018. So my motion is to just revert back to where we were in this last ordinance. Reinstate the longevity pay.
Councilwoman Orange?
I have a problem with it reinstating the longevity pay. But at some point, negotiations got to mean something. You happen to be in that meeting, right, where you in there with negotiating with them. So if you, at that point, the longevity had to be brought up. So now, I don't know what the point is now that you want to go back and restate, but the thing of it is that either they're going to have a negotiation with the mayor or they're going to have a negotiation with us. They can't have it both ways. And also that if you're going to do that, and I hope it ain't for political reasons that we're doing this, that it is because you truly care about the police or you want to be the one that says, I am the one that brought this and I'm doing this for this particular person. Because if you was in there at the time and longevity was being struck, then that should have been something that should have been taken care over there. Like I said, at this point, the police went for it and they voted on it. You cannot, once a person votes, because what's the purpose of vote? You just got through being voted in, and somebody would say go back and revert and say, well, no, we don't want to do that because of the elections don't mean anything. If you are negotiating with somebody, that's got to mean something. And if you're not, then other words, then we should just say, there's no negotiations, and then when they come negotiate with us, and we tell them that they can't have something, then what? So like I said, at some point in time, I don't like the fact that it look like on this council, we haven't done anything until now. And we have been going back and forth of saying what should be done. But they went in and they negotiated with the mayor, and they came up with their solution. And I think as far as for 2017, it should be with the way it is. And then they want to negotiate back, or if you decide that we're going to be negotiating with them instead of the mayor, then in 2018, we put it all back.
Well, I'd like to answer that. I was in the negotiation, and longevity was not struck out when I left. I got elected to this post July 18th, and this came after I left. So I don't know at what point it was struck out, but it was struck out after I was in the room. Otherwise, I would be supporting it. I've spoken up for that. In terms of we doing this for political reasons or not, I won't even address that. That's an insult. Second of all,
I don't think so, J.R.
Well, I think so. I think the police and fire.
He's got the floor.
I'm speaking, Gilda. I let you speak and then interfere. Police and fire have not had an opportunity to negotiate with this council. I'm one voice. This council can choose not to do it. I'm bringing it up that this is where it should be. This is where it should be with the council. That's what state statute says. It says the legislative body shall. And it gives us the authority to change anything the mayor negotiates over there with them. That's how powerful that statute is. So I'm just doing it because I think that it should come here. The council has a responsibility to public safety in the city. And I think that we decide as a body whether we want to move forward or not, but that decision should be done here and not across the way.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to speak, reference myself, and I'm doing it for the right reasons. Public safety has been decimated. The most that's been taken away from anybody has been public safety, and the morale on the public safety side is so low that is embarrassing sometimes, because we have so many police officers that's left, and I'm doing it for the right reason. Everything's been taken away from public safety, and you know what? We need to stop that. You know, I think we may have 15 officers that left within the last year and a half or 2 years. That's too many. You know, we're training them to leave, and that's not right. You know, I'm doing it for the right reason, you know, because they deserve it.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Orange?
Also, you said that you were the architect of taking the sick days away from them. So now all of a sudden you want to make sure they get longevity, but you were the architect of taking the sick days. I don't see you having it both ways.
Okay, I can explain that.
Excuse me, Councilman Medina was next. Councilman Medina?
I believe that we're trying to get in the fast lane, and last time we did that, we overseen a few things. For one, we don't have that ordinance in front of us. I am totally in agreement with giving the police and the firemen whatever they deserve, and they deserve a lot. Again, I, through the years as a police officer, helped negotiate a lot of those benefits, and they should have never been taken. We missed the boat on what we were trying to do initially, and that was to help the pensioners. This ordinance got reverted into something else that took money away from certain officers, and especially the supervisors. They were not given, I don't know if it was an oversight, but they were not giving the bump in pay that the other officers were. If we as a council have the authority and the right to make these appropriations and changes, that I am totally in agreement with that. I would suggest we go back and reverse what we did and start over. The intent that we had wasn't really met. The numbers were changed, and it's really not going to benefit the retirees as we thought they would. It's been done in other communities where the retirees are getting a nice little raise, a raise that they deserve, that they need. Cost of living keeps going up, and the city hasn't given anybody any raises, and they need the money just like anybody else. I'm not against the police or the fire. I'm against them rushing into what we're going to do just now. I would like to revert this to a committee, and I want to know, Mr. Bauer, first, what exactly, and we discussed this at the executive session last week, what rights do we actually have as a council to address this? And if so, then let's address it properly and in a timely fashion so that we don't oversee some appropriations or things that we can or cannot do.
Once again, I think the beginning decision to make is whether or not the council as a unit wants to take over the negotiation of police and fire compensation for the year. If so, that needs to be done by ordinance by November the 1st. The statute provides that if the council does not act, then it flips over to the Board of Public Safety, and they adopt. For the last 6 years that I'm aware of, the council has not opted to negotiate police and fire salaries and have allowed it to go to the Board of Public Safety. If there is to be a change, though, in what the Board of Public Safety decides and negotiates with police and fire, it's required to come back to the council for an ordinance. So, at the beginning, you can do it all. You cannot do it, but if there's any modification during the year, the council's back involved. That's what happened when they came up with the ordinance that was passed on July the 24th. And one of the difficulties that happens, once again, is on short notice. The document I got is what showed up at the meeting with the red in it, which was not in the draft that had been circulated out. So once again, if the council wants to get involved in determining compensation for police and fire, it is, it's a big task. So it is a mess. Robert raised the issue the last time of trying to do something to deal with pension pay. And last Thursday, I sent him, as well as the president and vice president, a draft of a possible approach to be taken on that. That's an in-between. So that's a decision that you can make. You could follow up and request that if the Board of Public Works or the Board of Public Safety does not incorporate that type of approach in their 2018, the council's got to get back involved. And you can amend whatever they decide to pay police and fire. You can amend it by ordinance. So the first thing, just like we talked about earlier, is whether or not the council wants to take over the full responsibility for the negotiation of compensation for police and fire. That's I would suggest that's the beginning decision. If the answer to that is no, you still have the option to follow Robert's suggestion that we follow what Highland has done and other communities in Lake County and throughout the state in making a first-class patrolman special classification that would help the retirees. Councilman Medina, that would assist your concern.
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you. Everything has come to the wayside since that one ordinance came up that we can do it. And one of my concerns is one of the concerns that Gilda had brought up, if it's legal or not. But if we go ahead and take negotiations over and do raise the pay and negotiate, that amount will go up legally. So everything will be legally done as far as their retirement. So if that's the right way to do it, and I think that's the road we should go on of doing that instead of just raising the certified amount. Because if we go ahead and do the pay and benefits, that certified amount go up and it goes up legally, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts on it.
Well,
Councilwoman Vasquez.
Were you done, Mr. Bauer?
I was just going to point out that a different classification, the first-class patrolman special, will need to be added and defined. And that was the draft of the proposed approach that I'd sent to you last Thursday for you to review.
Councilwoman Vasquez.
I agree that we shouldn't do this in bits and pieces. We were scheduled to have an executive session today regarding this issue, and our president is going to reschedule that. So I think that we should sit down at that executive session and put it all together in one ordinance and not come back every 2 weeks. And I know we have officers in the audience today. I know there was is there a motion on the floor, Mr. President? Okay.
There is a motion on the floor, Councilwoman Vasquez, and the only reason I threw the motion out there is because these guys actually took a pay cut.
No, I understand. I'm just saying.
That's the only reason I did it.
Okay. I understand that. I just want to have it all in one, have the executive session, have all the, recommendations on the table, and do it all at one time, instead of coming back every 2 weeks and saying, we're going to add this, we're going to add this. I do believe they deserve more. I know they do a good job for the city. I've said it before, not because they're sitting in the audience. So that is my comment.
Councilman Medina.
Sir, you have that ordinance in front of you, correct?
Yes.
And it shows master patrolman's increase in pay in red?
Yes.
Okay, and I think we talked about this at the last meeting. If anything we need to do is increase everyone above that, the sergeant, the lieutenant, et cetera. Am I correct?
Well, yes, you have that option.
That wasn't done there.
No.
And I believe that's the argument where at least the feedback that I'm getting now from a lot of the sergeants and lieutenants is that they did not get an increase in pay, but the master patrolman did. So if we do anything there, we need to increase each one of those lines, correct?
Yes, you certainly can.
And leave everything else the same way.
Yes.
Just a point of order, Mr. President.
Councilman Garcia.
Can we bring Mr. Steve Donna in on this? Because I think he's more enlightened on that resolution.
He's got the ordinance in his hand. We don't have it in front of us.
What would you like to know about it?
Answer Rich's question.
I would agree that one of the options would be to raise the supervisor's pay by the same amount that the first-class patrolman was raised when the longevity was rolled into their pay.
Each line,
class above, each line above that would be one option.
Correct.
Yes, to fix this current issue that you've brought up.
And then addressing
It's not going
2018.
to fix everything, but it fixed that. It's about $30
$59 and some change.
a pay.
Councilman Garcia.
that loss of pay, is that currently losing that pay now?
Well, if they struck longevity from the ordinance, yeah, everyone that was hired prior to 2010 got longevity. So over 13 years of service, for example, they were earning $1,200 and some change per pay, added to their pay. And
Per year.
I'm sorry, per year. And so it's a minute amount, but when they wiped it out and somehow incorporated into the MPO, everybody in the upper ranks, in essence, got wiped out. That's what longevity is.
So
and it's chump
they
change.
lost that pay.
I'm going to answer you that according to the ordinance you passed, that would be the case. I do not know if the controller has already started doing that to paychecks. I would have to ask them.
So we deducted that pay.
It should, according to the ordinance.
Councilwoman Orange?
State of Indiana, state that you have to have longevity pay?
I don't believe so.
No. So then if the mayor says, I'm wiping out everybody's longevity pay, there's nothing that we could do. You can't make them pay longevity pay.
The only thing I'd push back on there, Council Lady, is that this body could pass a salary ordinance that would force the mayor to veto. So you have some authority in that argument if you were actually in disagreement with the mayor, because you could pass an ordinance with longevity built in, and then he would have to veto it.
Councilwoman Maldonado?
In reference to the motion that's on the floor right now, which is reinstating longevity pay, I will agree that, I would agree with that. However, I'm just saying at this time with so many issues, I tend to agree with Councilman Medina and Councilwoman Vasquez. I think we need to have not only another executive session, but we need to have a separate committee, Council President, to basically look at this. It took a while to get to whatever negotiations the mayor had. I don't think we can do that in one night with no documentation in front of us. So I would just hesitate just a bit, just pause. It doesn't mean that I'm not in favor of it. It means I prefer to pause a bit, review the documents, have a discussion with the appropriate people, police, fire, controller's office, and move forward from that point.
Councilwoman Maldonado, I have no problem having another executive meeting, but do we need somebody to chair this
I would have no
chairmanship
problem
if you're
sharing.
interested?
I am interested.
Okay. Any other questions?
The big motion get withdrawn?
No, it did not. Councilman Santos, roll call, please.
Clerk Santos.
I'm sorry, Clerk Santos.
Maldonado.
It's like Jason.
No.
Walker.
No.
Vasquez.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
No.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
No.
Monroe.
No.
Franciski.
Yes. Any other thing for new business? Moving on to public expression. Councilman Garcia. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I started with that. Do we have any old business? Are you running the meeting, or am I running the meeting? Well, we're on a new business. Do you have any new business? Councilman Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Clerk, Elida, I didn't mean you. I mean Elida. Elida, can you write a letter to the Park Department? I had some residents from New Edition approach me. They said they were promised some new playground equipment over there, and they never got it. If you could write the park board to find out what's the status on that playground equipment for New Edition. Also, if you could write a letter to the engineering department. Also have some complaints about their alleys there. They look pretty bad. I'd like to have the engineer to go assess them. That's it, Mr. President.
All right. Any other new business? Moving on to public expression. Clerk Santos, do we have any cards?
No, Mr. President.
Have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Medina, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Clerk Santos, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Good night.